Imagine this is an NPC. You can fit 50,000 NPCs in the stadium. And if all the people in New York become NPC, you will have 8.5 million of them. But this is nothing compared to the users of social media. In a month, these three icons combined has a staggering amount of 5.9 billion users, more than the amount of humans that have access to the internet. And you're one of them. You scroll and scroll as things flash past your vision. Politics, the 1%, celebrities, tragedy, cat videos, trends, money, and influences.
Hi, everyone. I'm Elon Musk.
The problem with mainstream media is that they provide content that some people consume without thinking, producing NPCs, which is frankly very dangerous.
You listen to the media?
I'll listen to them, but not like...
You formed your opinion on because of the media?
Yeah, basically.
Okay, yeah, alright.
Imagine your children and the next generation living in a world controlled by the media. What would the world look like? But is this the true motive of social media? Merely for entertainment use does not really sound convincing. Half of the news is talking about the stock market. That made me wonder, is the stock market in the news because it is trendy? Or is the stock market trendy because it is in the news? So you're saying you can change the stock market with a click using a finger? But it seems like the largest concern for humanity is not these short monetary gains, but the long-term restraint of thinking.
The best way to teach people critical thinking is to teach them to write, because there's no difference between that and thinking. And one of the things that just blows me away about universities is that no one ever tells students why they should write something. It's like, well, you have to do this assignment. Well, why are you writing? Well, you need the grade. It's like, no, you need to learn to think, because thinking makes you act effectively in the world. Thinking makes you win the battles you undertake, and those could be battles for good things. It's an endless mystery to me why that isn't made self-evident. So that's the sort of thing that can drive you mad trying to sort out. It's like there's a conspiracy to bring people into the education system to make them weaker. I guess that keeps the competition down. If your students are stupid, they're not going to challenge you.
Okay, I need to not become an NPC. So how? Let's try a unique thinking framework. What are the characteristics of NPC in real life? NPC is someone that goes along with the crowd, lack critical thinking, and lack of individuality. So to not be an NPC, you will have to do the opposite, right? You have to use critical thinking, practice individuality, and not follow the crowd without thinking. Well, we all are unique and think critically, right? Right? Maybe not. Try reading this. Well, I don't really agree about the hardest work part, but the lack of critical thinking in our society is concerning. But how do we not follow the crowd and make sure we're not biased? Yeah, sure. But why should I believe in both of you?
You gotta be kidding me.
Sorry?
You're Elon Musk.
I am?
So I went to do some research about why do we have to think. It turns out when we think, we enhance our cognitive ability. But how do we know the source is correct? When one data is not enough to explain, how about multiple datas? How about enormous amount of data? One problem is that the data might be all wrong. So how do we verify that all the data isn't wrong or biased? This video is brought to you by Twitter. Twitter allows free speech, which enables us to listen to opposing viewpoints and find truth within it. The site that provides more valid and logical evidence can be trusted more. Another method that curious people use is ask many questions. Have you ever realized how babies are extremely curious?
Oh Lord, what is he?
They just stare at things and use their tiny little gears to analyze reality. I don't know about others, but I would really like the next generation to be curious and think about things. So how do we think? Let's look at the thinking framework we used. First principle thinking.
It's kind of mentally easier to reason by analogy rather than from first principles. But by first principles is kind of a physics way of looking at the world. You kind of boil things down to the most fundamental truths and say, okay, what are we sure is true, or as sure as possible is true? And then reason up from there. That takes a lot more mental energy.
By boiling down the word NPC to its fundamental, we can understand the characteristics of NPC and reverse them to avoid being an NPC. Next is asking questions. I've asked 16 questions in this video. You can observe things and think about their fundamentals. Ask questions to others. Try using ChatGPT. Realize what is the cause and effect. What causes babies to be curious? What is the meaning of life? Next, we can connect things. Connecting things makes us understand reality better, which in turn helps us do things better. Let's say for physics formula, velocity equals to distance over time. If we want to get from A to B, which is our goal, in a shorter time, we can either reduce the distance or we can increase our velocity. Well, it does seem like influential people such as Elon Musk, Jordan Peterson, Joe Rogan, and many more, who is deemed controversial by media, are striving for a change. This non-physical civil war of humanity has waged, so pick a side. Once again, think for the future, think for the children, and think for humanity. Share it to your friends if you don't want them to become NPCs. Goodbye!